So many of you actually want to see this in action, and I stated that I was going to do a live time lapse of a stock that I mentioned, how it reacts, and how I think and process when I'm looking at 42 Vision, because 42 Vision has changed the way I look at charts, and it's given me the vision to be able to see the dips and the rips, and I'm going to share some information with you guys, and I hope it means you well, and it's literally helped me change everything in my perspective when it comes to the stock market. I still look at the RSI, I still look at the MACD, I still look at volume, inflow versus outflow. I still use my strategy of 5 to 10% to the upside and 5 to 10% to the downside on my stop loss limit order. But this has allowed me to see things that you wouldn't normally see on a regular chart. So let's go ahead and look at this. So XERS here is actually pulling back towards the bell, right? And the bell's about to happen, and you can see how quickly things are escalating to the downside, right? This is extremely oversold, and this is definitely an area to start watching the stock very, very closely. Now, right after that, you can see how quickly things are starting to shift, and the volume bar here is green, right? And it's trying to turn red with green around it, and it turns red completely. What happened? Well, right there, a lot of investors probably thought this was the dip. That uncertainty and doubt kicks in. Things are running up. It makes investors try to jump in too fast. And it went from 273 all the way to 284. And there's going to be a few people here, as they call it, bag holding until they finally see it come back up. Or they're actually going to double down and buy the dip. So this tends to show you the reaction of investors that actually did not get it at the right moment, right? Because the point of the dip is timing and execution. I say that time after time after time, right? So you can see here how things are pulling back down, things are continuing, and you're going to see how it goes into extremely oversold a few times, and then there's going to be a reversal. And at that point, this tends to be the area where, as an investor, I like to watch closely, especially when these wicks are sideways, and they tend to be the bottom. So it's something that I watch carefully. I put my stop loss limit order of 5 to 10%. And I watch it with caution. Now, you can see how things started to push back up, and you're going to see how in this whole entire recording, it actually starts pushing up and it pulls back down. And we're going to look at the 5-minute as well to compare what was going on. So you're going to see here how this is reacting and how it's pushing. And that seems to have been the high so far, right here up at 287. So I go over to the 5-minute. So let me go ahead and see if I can pause this on time. You're going to see this for a second right here, right now. So once it goes to the 5-minute, you will see how all this on microscopic level is very volatile. But on the 5-minute, it's been showing, yes, there's a dip, but some strength in the whole entire situation. And you're going to see here right now. So there's the 5-minute. So this was the microscopic level of seeing things moving, right? And then on the 5-minute, it's been basically sideways, right? There's been red borders on the green, but it shifted to a full green. That means that there's some strength here, you know. Anything that you catch the dip around here, if this stays the same, it might go on to shift to another green one, right? That's another thing that I watch carefully. And you could see it there. There's the push, and there it's coming. So there's been volatility here, and you're going to see this pullback right there. I switch over to the 5-minute, and I come back over here to double check if this pullback is affecting the 5-minute. And if it hasn't, then the 1-minute still has some strength, because on the microscopic level, things are moving pretty fast, but the 5-minute gives me a bigger picture. And with 42 Vision, I can actually watch this carefully and not actually get stopped out or make myself flinch of getting out really quickly, because that's a pretty big pullback from 287 to 275. I mean, that right there is nearly 5% pullback of the total amount of the opportunity. So that right there would have made me actually want to get out. But with 42 Vision, I still have that confidence, right? I don't rely completely on it, but it lets me see, right? It gives me the vision to see what's going on in the charts. I still look at volume. I still look at the MACD, and I still look at, obviously, the RSI. And you could see right here that momentum picked back up, and it was actually struggling, right? Just about a second before, right here, you could see it, to get past 287. That's why I have that line there. If it broke through that, it was going to break out, and that is usually a point where I like to make a decision, because if it's already past 5 to 10%, which it already did at these levels, this was around 10 to 13%, that right there has done it, right? And that's the whole point, trying to catch the dips to the best of my knowledge and getting out in the rips to the best of my knowledge. Sometimes the rips isn't always at the peak. It could be right around there at 287, 285, but you could see how many different things happen in the chart that 42 vision gives me the vision to see exactly what's going on. I went back to the 5-minute to see how their strength, and the strength continued. Now, there's usually a shift from light green to light green with red border. You're going to see it here. And this sometimes could be a sign of still some strength. It doesn't mean that the real pullback is coming. But if I'm already up between 5 to 10% or beyond 10% at these levels, I make a decision pretty fast, because even if it pulls back slightly and jumps back up to newer highs, I'd rather get out with a profit than sit around and hope, right? Especially when 42 vision is giving me a clear sign that there's a pullback happening and it's struggling right there and it's fighting. And if you look at the real chart, you can see how it all ended up from that moment forward, guys. I hope this video helps you have some clarity on how 42 vision works and how it gives me the vision to see the dips and the rips. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.